Today's episode is for the Star Trek fans out there, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us at Traces of Hollywood. Today I'm going to talk about some of my time spent working in the entertainment industry. I've worked on and off in the TV and film business for many years and still do here and there. And I had pretty much every position over the years, from doing grunt work on sets to casting to locations and then talent representation and even doing some work as a producer over the years. Of course, there are a few other channels that visit celebrity homes and do tours of graves and things like that, but the only two that I know of that are run by people who also worked in the entertainment industry are Geordi the Lion and Sean Clark. And I love those guys, and I really can't recommend their channels enough. They do excellent, excellent videos. So I hope you guys will enjoy a little bit of insider information and a look behind the scenes that I can provide with my personal stories, and I'll be telling more of them in the future, but today we're going to focus on my encounters with cast and crew from Star Trek, the films, specifically the original series, and also Star Trek The Next Generation, and a little bit about Star Trek Voyager. Now, my first encounter ever with anyone involved in Star Trek was at the original Farmers Market, which is at 3rd and Fairfax, and of course now there's the famous outdoor mall, the Grove, which is there as well. And I was shopping at a fruit stand, and a hand reached from behind and picked up a little tub of strawberries, and I instantly recognized the voice. "Oh my, these look delectable." And of course, it was George Takei. Of course, he played Sulu in the original series, the helmsman and second officer. Being a big Star Trek fan since I was a kid, I was excited and turned around, and we just exchanged a glance. He smiled at me. I'm sure he knew I recognized him, and it was just a fun encounter. So for the next story, I'll explain that I used to live pretty near Paramount Pictures in this cool old building, and I was just a few blocks away, so I would be over there pretty often, visiting friends for lunch, sometimes having meetings, and Paramount is my favorite studio of all the Hollywood studios. My apartment was right about here, which is right next to the LA Tennis Club and also near the Happy Days house filming location. But you can see this is Paramount, and right behind it there is Hollywood Forever. We'll be spending a lot of time there. Very famous celebrity graveyard. But again, this is Paramount Pictures, the backlot, the old RKO studios. Here's the front gate. I would drive through here, pass through security. And I loved parking at the blue sky tank here. When it's not full of water, it's a parking lot. And that wall was used in The Truman Show. It's been used in Star Trek films, lots and lots of movies. It's a very famous location. And so for the next story, I'll mention here, this is the New York backlot. And basically, a studio backlot, at least at the time, and especially Paramount, was very much what you would see in movies. It was like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There are actors and studio executives riding around in golf carts. You see extras dressed up in costumes. It's really a cool place to be. And I was walking around one day, and I saw LeVar Burton, who plays Geordi La Forge, and I saw Jonathan Frakes, who was First Officer Will Riker, riding around on the back of a golf cart. And this location is the Millworks, and also where they do the set construction. You can see how close it is to the main mausoleum at Hollywood Forever, where Rudolph Valentino is buried and tons of others, but we'll come back to that in a moment. But I do want to come down here and show you, this is the old original front gate. And famously, this is the gate that Gloria Swanson as Norma Desmond pulls up to in Sunset Boulevard. And be sure to check out the Gloria Swanson in Palm Springs video tour that I posted. As I mentioned, I spent a lot of time on the Paramount backlot, and I wasn't required to wear a visitor's badge or anything, so that also means that a lot of the people working on the lot had no idea who I was or why I'm there, and I'm sure a lot of them assumed I was a big studio executive, which I was not. But because of that, people don't ask questions in Hollywood. I think they don't want to upset the wrong person, or they're just friendly in general, who knows. But I would often be invited in to look at sets being built, and no one ever stopped me when I would walk into the sound stages. No one ever questioned me while I was there, but at one point, one of my favorite stories is walking around with a friend and over by the millworks that we saw earlier, which you can see here. And one of the craftsmen invited me in to see some of the set construction. And what I always saw on the movies and TV shows as these big technical metal walls inside the spaceships were really huge vacuum-formed pieces of plastic that they just mount to plywood. So they're very lightweight, easy to move around, and they just paint them up to look like whatever interior they need it to be. I was actually pretty excited to see that, so the same craftsman recognized that I was a Star Trek fan, and he said, "Hey, let me show you something else." So we walked over into a building adjacent, and there was the full-scale shuttlecraft Goddard filming. I'll call it a model, but it was literally a life-size set. And it looked exactly like the shuttlecraft sitting in the bay. And what was really cool about that is he went up and flipped two latches, just like you would see on a crate, and split the model in half right in the center. And it's on some casters, some little wheels, so he pushed the back half open and explained that that's what they do so they can put cameras inside to film actors. I'll go ahead and give a little bit more information about Star Trek on the Paramount backlot. So this is the millwork, and you can see very nearby is Stage 18, and that's where pretty much every Star Trek film and The Next Generation was shot. And also Stage 9, and Stage 8 behind it, they also did some shooting for the various shows here as well. And famously, right there at the bottom, that's the writer's room from Sunset Boulevard. And Stage 18 is also known as the DeMille stage, and also presently known as the Star Trek stage, because that's the sound stage that we saw Norma Desmond visit in Sunset Boulevard as well. So lots of history there on their Paramount backlot. My next sighting was of another original series star, and this was over in Larchmont Village, which was a couple of blocks east of my place and a couple of blocks south of Paramount. So it's a very popular place for celebrities in general, and especially folks that are working on Paramount productions. I saw tons of celebrities there. We'll cover some of those stories in the future. The one that stands out especially was Colin Farrell. Stopped me one time to talk about my dog inside of a drugstore, and we chatted about 10 minutes, and that was when he was new to town and was doing Minority Report over at the Paramount backlot. So I was walking around after dinner one evening with a friend, and there was a fancy little sidewalk restaurant with tables outside, and I looked over and I saw William Shatner. Of course, you don't bother celebrities in Hollywood, especially if they're dining, you leave people alone. I never took pictures of any of these folks. It's not something you do. Everyone respects each other. And this was before Larchmont Village really was known. It was kind of a little hidden away gem where celebrities could go and not be bothered, unlike Beverly Hills, where there's always tourists around. So it was fun to see Captain Kirk. My last story for this video involves someone who's turned out to be quite a fan favorite, and that is Jeri Ryan, who played Seven of Nine in Star Trek Voyager. And this one was more of a professional situation in the sense that I was working with one of her agents for some personal appearances, and that would include things like Star Trek conventions and San Diego Comic-Con, things like that. And I'll just say that she's a very kind, very pleasant person, and I only have good things to say about her. So it's pretty awesome to see that she appeared again on the Picard series, along with a lot of the other series originals from the Next Generation. And it was a good time. I really enjoyed seeing all these folks that I loved watching on the big and the small screen. So that concludes the Star Trek tour down memory lane, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but let me know who else you would like to hear about. There's so many folks I met over the years, literally dozens of celebrities, and I encountered probably hundreds just seeing people out shopping at grocery stores, at red carpets, things like that. So leave a comment and let me know what celebrities are your favorites, who you would like to hear some stories about, some encounters with, and if I have any, I'll be sure to share them in future videos. Thank you again for joining me on a tour, and just a reminder that my channel is not yet monetized, so if you enjoy these videos and want to see more, you can help the channel grow by subscribing. You can do that if you're watching this on television by hitting the little icon on the lower right side of the screen. See you next time.